Hey guys, I'm Nick Beliveau. Today we're here with Alex Digiacomo.
Alexander Digiacomo Sarwerfoner.
So it's a long name, but he's an entrepreneur here at ICmtl. He's a writer, filmmaker, entrepreneur, photographer, man of many talents, and he's going to shine a light on the projects he's working on today, as well as your backstory and what you aim on accomplishing. So thanks for being on the show, Alex.
Thank you for having me.
So to start off, just tell us a bit about you, a little bio, and then what you're working on here at ICmtl.
For sure. So my life story is kind of crazy, but basically I'm born here in Montreal, Brazilian mom, Canadian dad. Moved to Brazil when I was 7. When I was 15, I moved to the United States. Did my university there. Now I'm back in Montreal. Haven't lived here since I was 7. Been back here for 2 years. And so I've been working a lot with film. I'm a filmmaker, and that has been my focus within the past few years since university and after moving back to Montreal. But right now at ICmtl, I am working on a project I call The Tales of TJ Otterman. It's a subscription-based storybook platform with video game elements to it. And what I'm hoping to achieve with it is provide a service that a lot of people can utilize because reading in kids is very important, both reading to them as bedtime stories when they're young and for them to be reading on their own.
Yeah.
And that's something that's struggling behind nowadays in many places. So this is me looking at technology and coming up with a solution to a problem. And I think I have a really strong platform, and I think kids could legitimately get excited about it. So that's a plus.
Is this the first time you're trying to launch a startup?
Yeah, absolutely. I've actually had lots of entrepreneurial thoughts before, like lots of different business ideas, especially like living in Montreal, but like knowing how the markets are in Brazil. I'd say overall Brazil tends to be like 5 years behind North America in all trends. But then when the trends arrive there, they explode in popularity. It's actually kind of absurd.
And the population's bigger too, so
a huge population. Well, not compared to Canada, but to the States, comparable to the States even. But yeah, not so much purchasing power. But the point is, like, simple things like hummus. Hummus does not have a presence in Brazil, but it's a customer base of hundreds of millions of people. So it's like the first person who does a hummus business in Brazil proper, like, is going to be a billionaire. Like, I've thought about it, but I'm focusing more on like where my talents lie, and that's definitely in storytelling.
So why did you said you had a bunch of ideas. Why have you never executed on one?
Definitely money. Like so many ideas, like opening up a poutine place in Brazil, vegan ice cream made out of coconut milk in Brazil, or let's just say a hummus business in Brazil as well. All these things, the hummus one, maybe it could be kind of cheap, but all these things are investments that take hundreds of thousands of dollars, honestly, to like create a restaurant or to create a brand of food products. And especially with food, there's like so many different, you can't be violating any like laws and stuff like that. It gets complicated, it gets expensive, and actually for restaurants specifically, it's very few make it long term. Most of them crash and burn super, super early. So it's like, yeah, okay, I could create a cool brew pub. I mean, I'd find the right people to create a like Canadian style brew pub in Brazil, and it would probably work. But like the amount of money that I would require to do that is way completely out of my league.
Okay, so now fast forward to today, and now you're in this startup program, and you have this idea for TJ Otterman.
Yeah.
Tell us how you got this idea. Was it prior or during the program? And secondly, why is this now the first project that you feel comfortable investing your time on?
Yeah. So I've had the idea for a while. I don't remember exactly when, I came up with it as a whole. But it's been a while now, like over a year. The idea has been like changing often, but I'd say like the reason I'm focusing on this right now is honestly, like before I started this program, I was kind of in this slump where it's just like, I made 2 short films, you know, with my own money. You know, the first one premiered, did well in Fantasia, and that was really cool. And it's like, cool, very cool stepping stone for like becoming a successful filmmaker. Then like for my second one, which is a bit longer, you know, I found it way more difficult to find an audience for it. And then it's like, I am done paying for my own movies. So right now, if I wanted to continue in the film industry, I would be completely reliant on grants or just like wishful thinking, hopefully that one day I'll be able to get enough money for a feature. But it's just such an expensive process, filmmaking, and requires so much work. And like, I'm a very creative person, but I'm not a very organized person. And like, I've always been super close to storytelling. That is definitely like my first career choice, was even as like a very small child, involved storytelling. And with this platform for a bunch of different storybooks, that's where like I actually feel like I'm using my talents the best, because like I think of new concepts really quickly. Something like a sentence can inspire me, and like within a few hours I'll have a story idea in my head. So those are the reasons, because like where I was going with my career was at a point where it's just like, okay, things are only going to get harder right now, and it's like a slow process. And with this, I saw with the Tales of TJ Otterman, let's just call it TTJO to keep it quicker for the future. But I saw a need for the product. I saw how it's solving a problem that people know about, but there isn't really lots of talk about solutions. Also, like, as someone who is very involved with technology overall, actually, I would even say that's one of my issues. I'm definitely addicted to technology, like without a doubt. I grew up in it. The Nintendo 64 was my best friend for who knows how long. But then, like, you know, I think our generation, like the millennials, was the first one who like grew up completely immersed in technology.
Yeah.
And there wasn't like a, you know, our parents, like, yeah, they could say, yo, too much TV is bad. They could say stuff like that, but like they were not ready. No one has really an awareness of what being born into the internet is like. So I'm actually like kind of scared for future generations. Like the kids who were born like post 9/11, basically, like who are turning 14, 15, 16 now. You know, I imagine they're probably going to be dealing with technology issues like we have, but on a whole different scale. So, you know, I have a product that can help reading, that can be entertaining to kids, that can also provide like a nice alternative for screen time, basically. So it just seemed like the right time, and the structure in this incubator program is a perfect place to develop something new to me, because I've never really tried to do a business, right?
Cool.
But it was really cool. So like I really like having structure. I'm very disorganized by myself. So I don't know, it was just a perfect recipe, and here I am.
Awesome. Okay, and then now, well, first of all, I agree completely with you that having this structure, this framework to work on your project is one of the best approaches there is. So I think already that will help you out a lot, and you know.
It has already.
There you go. Okay, so on that point, then tell me very quickly how it has helped you already, and two, what's the thing that's like, why couldn't you execute this like next week and have your first client?
Yeah. Well, everyone's different, first of all. Everyone works different ways, you know? Some people are writers, and the best way that they write is just isolating themselves, and it's just endless coffee and typewriter.
And you have a movie on this, no?
What?
And you have a short film.
Oh, yeah, kind of. But it's like, for me, like, I was always very good in school. Very good in school. And, but like outside of school, once I graduated, where I didn't really have that, you know, I don't like failure. Failure scares me. I'm a procrastinator as well. So like I never failed, right? But often enough I do something in the last minute and I pull through. But then I started noticing like, okay, I finally reached a point where I can't wing it like this anymore. It's actually hurting my work. the quality of it, the quality. So I quickly like realized like I would like to go back to a structured program because like, you know, I went straight into university. I really wasn't aware how I would be as an independent person. And now I realize more and more is like I require external structure to operate fully. Because if it's just on myself, honestly, I'm just going to be lazy about it and not accomplish anything and then just get guilty about it. So, sorry, I'm kind of going off a tangent. What was the original question again?
What have you achieved already in the program that you're happy about?
Okay.
And what is like holding you back from moving even quicker and getting your first client?
Yeah.
Well, we'll keep that for a second question. Let's just start with the first.
What I have achieved here so far. So what has been the most interesting thing is, sorry.
Just the mic, yeah, be careful.
Yeah. It's, you know, once again, a structured place where all of my focus is put into one project instead of me thinking of new ideas that never even get it to be onto paper. They're just like rolling around my head. That's not really a sustainable way to like try to build a career in writing and stuff like that. But with a structure here, I've put all of my focus and energies into just developing this one product instead. I'm literally forced to, because otherwise like my time spent in this program, this 8 months, is gonna kind of be a waste if I don't fully dedicate myself to it. So I found that really interesting, and I found it really great how my creativity, instead of being like all over the place, it's really more narrowed down. And it just tends to be, I'm more focused now on just like, okay, what is the next thing I can do to make this product better? How, like, before I even start planning it super, you know, we have to start developing it right now. I'm just like brainstorming, how can I differentiate my product, make it something completely unique, make it something useful, make it something that people will want to be a part of. And I think that this incubator has been a great experience for that. You know, brainstorming with other people as well, like-minded entrepreneurs, but also parents. That's very helpful. And then why can't I just like speed it up right now? Well, like I am doing a technological product, which requires like lots of programming and app development and stuff that is actually completely outside of my jurisdiction. You know, I'm a writer, I'm a filmmaker, I have a visual eye, but like, I mean, maybe I could do like some self-taught CS courses and stuff like that, but you know, I need funding, and I'm working on a crowdfunding campaign in the near future. But you know, I require funding and finding the right people. And before I get a first customer, I'm gonna have to have a product, and that's gonna be an expensive product to develop, which kind of puts me at a disadvantage, but that's part of the process.
I'm going to be just, you know, you mentioned brainstorming and stuff, and
yeah,
I think that's a huge benefit of this program, but just of any entrepreneurial person to be able to think of other ways to approach stuff. Mm-hmm. And I've been reading this book over the past week, and the average successful startup where you're breaking like over 6 figures, the initial investment, I think it's like the median investment is $4,000.
Really? Okay. Interesting.
A couple outliers was over 10,000. Like very, very few. The large majority were under 4,000. Mm-hmm. And what I'm just challenging this, you know, your idea of Kickstarter or just funding. Mm-hmm. I feel that's a traditional approach, and it might be the right one. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. But very often, more often than not, there's a different road to get to the same result.
Yeah.
And it might be a different result, it might be a better result. But in any case, just want to give my 5 cents on the idea of funding. And what do you think of why, given it's your first entrepreneurial experience, I'm curious to know like why you've chosen that route, and you're looking at that as like the solution.
Well, first, like, I think the reason I chose this product is because this is like
not the product. Sorry, the reason why you're saying you need the funding.
Oh, well, okay. So I really like that statistic of $4,000. But what I would look into is how many of those are tech-related startups, and how many of the people involved in those were like computer scientists.
Not at all. None.
None were computer
No,
scientists.
it's the book I was recommending earlier.
Okay.
It's called The $100 Startup by
I'll have
Chris
to check it
Kiedel.
out.
And it's just there's so many different ways nowadays with technology to deliver what you're trying to do. And I understand you want to get to an app, and if that's the vehicle to make more money, cool. And if you have the proof that that is going to cause scalability, sure. But there's ways to start, getting your first sales.
That is very true. I could start with computer platforms, and that's like within the next few steps, like figuring out exactly how I'm going to launch it. Like the idea of the platform's well developed, and it keeps getting better in my opinion. So that's pretty fun so far. But yeah, no. My idea is this: like, I really, as someone who's an artist and knows how the life of the struggling artist is. I don't want to work by myself. Let's make that clear. I want to have a team of super talented people, whether they're illustrators, writers, translators,
How big do you see your team in a year from now?
In a year from now, probably 5 or 6 people.
And in 5 years?
Who knows? Could be thousands. No, hundreds maybe. Dozens. I would love to have an office in Brazil, for translating it to Spanish and Portuguese. But let's not get too ahead.
No, but I'm curious, just like on your train of thought, and we'll, because we're going to follow up in a couple months out. And I find, like, for you, but everybody watching, it's also interesting following your progression through your project. So first question, how would you define where you're at now? If you're looking back, like, in what stage of your building are you?
Which stage? I don't know, somewhere between, I guess, like pre-development is still where I'm at. I'm still talking to my customer base. I'm still trying to see, like, is there really a need for this product? Is this going to be something actually helpful? So far, everything is kind of pointed to yes. The trends in culture and media are all pointing towards the direction that, I'm onto something.
Yeah.
So yeah, does that answer that question?
Yeah. Okay. So ideation.
Cool. Yeah.
And where do you see yourself then at the end of this 8-month program, June 1st, 2018?
Yeah, June 1st, 2018. I see myself with a ready to be developed start of my phase. So that's like when I'm hoping to release the Kickstarter, try to acquire the funds, possibly find other forms of investments, and then start hiring the people to develop this. The core people I need is at least one other writer, probably at least 2 illustrators, and 1 or 2 app developers from the get-go. Or I'm using an outside team, who knows? I haven't thought that far ahead yet. But with that, we can launch this product with some, after time, right? So that's why financing is important to me. Like, as someone who works in film, I really don't believe in working for free. And I know how people abuse everything. And I hate the idea of unpaid internships. And I want to get people excited about the product that I'm launching, not just because it's legitimately a wholesome product with just good intentions behind it, but because at the same time, I'm an idealist, but I'm apparently a capitalist as well. I see very much so a potential for profitability, and I want to get people get motivated with money. That's like a scary truth about humans, but it's obviously true. And I want to be able to compensate, the talented artists and writers and developers that I work with in a way that's fair, or even more than fair, in a way that's like, whoa, wow, I really want to work with this guy because I want to fly to the moon, but I need some other passengers. Something like that.
Awesome. And for the final question, what is the one thing, now thinking towards your objective for June 1st next year, to be able to be, ready for development and just need the money and the team, what's the one thing that could help you the most achieve that? Or what's the one thing you need to do to get there?
Well, besides the crowdfunding campaign?
No, to get to that point, because you said you wanted to launch it at that point.
I think it would be just clear knowledge of what parents and educators feel like is going on with the current generations of kids. Reading is getting forgotten. Attention spans are getting lower. And, I have to make sure that what I'm offering actually might be a solution to these issues. And that's going to come with research and interviews, and interviewing the kids as well. Like the next stage of interviews, I'm going to be interviewing parents, but the kids as well, and see what they like.
Because they're the user.
They're going to be the users. Fortunately, I'm a man-child, so I still feel like I can tap into that mentality, but we'll see. But yeah, I want to have like the data, basically, that validates my startup idea. And once I have that, if I can convince the world, like, hey, this is my plan, look at it, by the way, it's super, super cheap, then, who knows, maybe exponential growth. So, I want to create a good platform that responds to the data and the needs of modern society, and try to get people excited about it.
A platform that responds to the needs of modern society.
Yeah.
We went from TTJO.
Well, I mean, it's like, okay, one of the problems of modern society. And, I don't think anyone can say reading is dumb. No. It's you can't defend that excuse. Like, there's no such thing. You can be dumb, you can not like reading, or you can even not like reading and be an intelligent person. But, reading is beneficial to everyone at all ages. And,
Here, and I said it was the last question, but I'll ask you one last one. As like a new entrepreneur in a way.
Yeah.
And not related to your project necessarily.
Yeah.
But what's the one thing you like learned about entrepreneurship, or a couple?
Yeah.
That you could share with others, like other people that are either getting interested in entrepreneurship or, are maybe at the same phase as you, or even more advanced. Like, what's like some knowledge you'd want to share with people?
I think the most important things I've gained so far. I think the first is really like whatever product or service you're developing, it should, everyone says this, but it should answer a need. It should be a solution to a problem. Like, even on the most basic sense, what is a supermarket? It is an answer to the problem of I require food. If I don't get food, I'm going to die. So I could go hunt food, or I can go to a supermarket. Problem solving right there. And that really, all services, Facebook, Gmail, that's all problem solving. It could be problems that didn't exist, problems you didn't know you have, but it's all problem solving. So I think you got to focus that, whatever you're developing, it should be, I hate to say problem solving again, but it should solve a problem. It should be a better way to solve a problem than what's currently on the market. I don't think anyone really has a chance in entrepreneurship if they just launch something that's a pure copycat. Right now, especially with the internet age, like, the people in charge of mega corporations, they're old people, they're not as in tune to the cultural zeitgeist that we're in. So like, there's lots of room there to like think of new business models and new ways to accomplish all this stuff and provide services in a better way. So I think if you've ever thought in your life, oh man, this really sucks, why don't they just do it like this? Congratulations, you can be an entrepreneur. And that's simply it.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for being on the show, Alex.
Thank you for having me, Nick.
And guys, tune in next Wednesday. I'll have Sandy on the show. She's also in the program here at ICmtl. Next week we have Bianca and Freddie lined up as well. And so I think it's going to be pretty cool. Like, subscribe, and comment if you have any questions for Alex or for myself. And we'll definitely get back to you.
Cool.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.